What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, YouTube? We're waiting on Kev tech support. We're having a little difficulty. So for those of you that are joining us, be patient and we'll have the interview started shortly. But in the meantime, happy Sunday. Welcome to the Live Everyday YouTube channel. This week we have Kev tech support. Many of you may know Kev from YouTube. He's been helping people all across the country with help desk information, desktop support information. It's been dynamic in the things that he has done and the people that he has helped. Looks like Kev is joining us again. Let's see. Kev.
Yeah,
there
sorry
he
about
is.
that.
All good. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, my computer, man. I don't know what's going on with my computer today, but all right.
Hey, we need tech support. We need tech support. Maybe it's time to have that live troubleshooting session.
Crazy.
Yes.
Never happened to me before.
Oh, man, it happens, especially when you go live. It's funny how that always works out that way.
Yeah, it's just I did update my NVIDIA drivers today, so that's probably why it crashed. I'm guessing it has to do with that. I'm 99% sure it's that's the issue. Hopefully it doesn't crash again while we're talking.
I saw good. Did you migrate to Windows 11?
No, I didn't migrate to Windows 11. Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
thinking about it, but I'll probably wait. I'll probably wait.
Yeah. Just I looked at Windows 11 and I'm like, why does it look like Mac?
Right. You know, everything is kind of migrating towards Linux, so I can see why the transition is happening. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But Kev, um, so whenever I do a interview on my channel, I like to see what everybody is representing in the States and across the world. So for those of you that are tuning in, thank you for joining us today. We have Kev Tech Support, or Kev Tech Nerd, as you see from his YouTube handle. What I would like for all of you that are viewing to do, I want you to do two things. First, like this video and share this video. So I guess it's three things. Like this video, share this video, so it can help people in your social media channels, as well as let me know where you're representing in the States and outside of the country. So if you're in the States, put your area code in the chat, and if you're outside the country, put your country code or whatever country you're from, so I can do some shout outs. What's good? (919) What's up, Sam? Thank you for being a moderator and joining us. 832, Texas in the building. 703, New York. What's popping? 864, 410. Maryland in the building. 704. What's good? Professor Black Ops, good to see you, family. 317 in the building. 703. California. IA. What's good? 919. 907 619. California in the building. I see you got some New York. Look at that. Long Island in the building. Kid, New York is in the building. 312 912 305. Thank you all for commenting, joining, and sharing this out and liking this video. So, Kev, man, tell me about yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, tell you like I want me to tell you how I got started in IT.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So it's my background's a little crazy. It's extremely crazy. So, I've been in hustle. This is why I'm wearing this hoodie, is the hustle. I like to hustle. So I've been hustling and grinding for a very long time. So I've been working since I was 9 years old. So I've been working for a really, really long time. And then, I've been in restaurant for about 12 years. So that includes like working like fast food, like Chipotle. I actually worked in a Chinese restaurant. I worked in I worked in retail. I worked at Qdoba. I worked at a few different restaurants. And long and behold, I wanted to learn about IT because people keep talking about it. And I'm like, well, okay, so let's talk about IT. So how do you get started in that? And the problem with people that gave me information a long time ago, they didn't give me the right information. So people give you a bunch of information that it's very misleading, right? They tell you, oh, go get the A+, right? And you'll get your first job easy, like real simple, right? It doesn't work that way. So I'm over here trying to get my A+, and I'm trying to get my certification, and it didn't work that way for me. So what ended up happening for me was I ended up going to a technical training school, and that's where I learned about the CompTIA A+. And before even that happened, let's go just reverse back a little bit. So I wanted to get into IT because I wanted to build out financial money for my family, my mom, my dad, and just people that I live with, the family I live with, because I grew up very, very poor. I was extremely poor. I didn't have anything. I'm a guy straight from Brooklyn, grew up in the ghetto, just straight up with absolutely nothing, like sleeping in one room and everything, just going without eating for a couple of days. I grew up extremely poor. So I wanted to learn IT, and the first thing that happened to me that it just changed my life was my dad. My dad got really sick, so my dad he had to take dialysis for 5 years. Wow. So during that time, I was studying for IT, and I asked him, like, is it okay for me to go to school and study? He's like, yeah, it's okay. And I was trying to do a balance of both. So I was trying to get my A+ and study in the school.
Right.
Well, I would take care of my dad. He was in the hospital at that time, so I was taking care of him as well. So that's how I got started in with the certification. Then I learned about IT while I was in the school. And this school, they do technical training, but they also bring hiring managers to come into the school to interview you and then give you a job. And that's where I
Right.
started my first interview for the Department of Education. So I got my first job working for the DOE. The manager really liked me because I have a customer service background.
Okay.
I showed them that I have people skills, and I told them that you could teach IT, but you cannot teach people skills. You either
Yeah.
have it or don't have it, or you learn it
Facts.
over time. So that's
Yeah.
what I told him, and he really liked that answer. So he gave me a chance to work for the Department of Education. So I did that for about a year or so. I started as an intern. I didn't get paid for 2 months.
Wow.
Then after that, I got the full time job, and that was my first job working for the DOE, making $9 an hour, and working with dial-up AOL as a field technician for the DOE. So then after that, I jumped up the ranks. I went to different jobs. So after that, I worked for a store that does like Apple repair.
Okay.
I did that as well. Then after that, I worked for an MSP company. In the MSP company, I worked with about 20 to 30 different vendors, different companies like hedge funds, nonprofit organization, asset management. I worked for that MSP company, and then it's like my background is like I tell you, his background is crazy. Then I also jumped over to working directly for a hedge fund. Then I worked for another hedge fund. Now I currently work for an MSP as a sysadmin. And also my background's a little crazy too, because I also did 4 years in the NYPD. So I also worked for the NYPD. I did volunteer work for the NYPD. I worked and I did like Meals on Wheels and how you give like food for the elderly people. I did that, and I did a couple other things. And I'm also not only am I a sysadmin right now currently, I'm also a technical trainer. I train students in Australia. So that is basically my background in a nutshell. I have a lot of stuff I have been doing. I've been like just a lot of information. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it answers my questions and gives me like 30 more questions to ask. So thank you for that, man.
No problem.
Yo, thank you for your service. I can, for someone that does the Meals on Wheels, volunteers for the police department, also as an instructor, does the YouTube content to help other people. You have your own Discord to help people, and you're just constantly giving back. Thank you for all that you do, Kev.
Thank you for all that you do too, man. I appreciate you having me on your channel. I am blessed. I am humbled to be surrounded by such positive people. And long and behold, you don't want to say it, but you're a positive person. I could tell you're a very positive person. So thank you for having me on your channel today, and I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, man, like you, I come from humble beginnings. I come from like really nothing. I was homeless as a kid. Not even to go into my story, it's about you. But just like you, I come from a similar struggle. So, real recognize real, man. That's what's up.
Thank you,
Now,
man.
for sure, for sure. All right. Now, the you were a police officer? Oh, that's before we even talk about tech. You were a police officer as well?
So I worked as an auxiliary police officer. So I worked for the NYPD, volunteer auxiliary police officer. So basically, you're work the police. You run around. You don't have a gun. You have a riot baton, just like over there in UK, London, or whatever. I worked around with the police, and I actually did an arrest too. So I did the NYPD for about roughly 4 years. I worked as they say in Spanish. The barrio, la bodega, la barrio, right? Brooklyn. I worked at Brooklyn. I was patrolling the streets of Brooklyn, and
Wow.
I did some arrests here and there. And I was doing that while working my job as well. Because when you do auxiliary, you don't get paid. So I didn't get paid for that, but you do get college credits for that. So that's why I did it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now going back. So you went to a technical school to get your technical chops. In that school, what I did is kind of like the same thing after I went to the military. What I found that was interesting, what you said, is that the technical school that you went to, they actually held, I guess, career services camps to get you in front of employers. to get you interviews and get you jobs. I think that's like a great service that they offer, and that you were able to take advantage of that. Now, did they help you with your resume? How did you prepare for that? Can you kind of give me the backstory to that situation?
Yeah, definitely. So they did help me with my resume. They do resumes. It's a nonprofit nonprofit school for the just basically the local state in Brooklyn. So if you guys actually, so this is for people that are in New York, because there's a lot of people in New York watching today, right? So if you're from New York, you could go to Brooklyn Adult Learning Center. It's not paid, and they give you access to a computer. And I have a teacher that trained me, and he talks about Active Directory, talks about Windows 10. Now currently Windows 10. Back then it was Windows 7. So if you want to take advantage of the free services, they have a school called Brooklyn Adult Learning Center. You go to that school, and then they give you free training. They fix your resume, and they help you try to get your first job in IT. They do A+ training, they do Network Plus training, they do Security Plus, and they also help you if you want to get your GED. So that's basically a school that I recommend you go to if you're trying to get started in IT. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, that's cool. I know outside of Brooklyn, and like I think all across the country, there's a service called the Full Employment Council. So if you're looking to, I would say, transition into a new career, or if you're looking to get into tech or whatever, the Full Employment Council kind of does the same thing, to where they set you up with training, whether it's through like a program that you went through in Brooklyn or somewhere else. They'll kind of fund it and then pay for your certification and help you land a job. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
definitely.
Yeah. All right, Kev. Now, one thing about you is that you focus a lot on like help desk. Is that where you got your started, and what makes you so passionate about the help desk?
So it's a little complicated because I work for the DOE, but then I worked service desk for a hedge fund, which is like it's help desk technically, but it's a little more advanced. So you got to keep in mind that when people talk about help desk, like it depends what industry you work in. So I'm strictly focused on financial services, right? So when you work in financial services, they actually pay you a lot more money because it's financial services. So people are losing money per se. So if you don't know how to deal with people, or you don't know how to handle the stress, it's very fast paced. So you don't know how to handle the stress, you don't know how to deal with people, then that's not for you. That's why I'm passionate about help desk, because I love working with people.
Right.
And on top of that, I love touching computers. So I get the best of both worlds. So I get to touch computers and work with people at the same time. So that's why I come from a restaurant background. So I love working with people. That's just me. That's just I'm enthusiastic about it because I love dealing with people. I love tinkering away with an issue. And then like sometimes you'll have like on help desk, right? You have like these really strange issues, right? That not even a sysadmin can fix. And then you end up fixing it. And then you get appraised by your sysadmin. Oh man, he managed to fix it. How did he do that? You know, it's just like, I get like nerdy and I get excited about help desk because of that. And that's the thing with help desk too. Like I said, it depends where you work. It depends what industry you work, because when we talk about help desk, service desk, desktop support, all these different fields, you could work help desk, and it's different if you go to a hospital, right?
Right.
They use EMS systems. They use special applications. They use like Epic, right? Epic is a hospital application. It's different. If you go to a hedge fund, it's this financial applications. It's different. They use Bloomberg. They use Bloomberg Terminal. They use Cap IQ. They use Mechanicus. They use all these financial applications. You need to know how to troubleshoot it. But because you know how to fix it and help us in that particular company or that particular area, the pay is a lot higher for help desk. So you're not looking at like 40K, 30K, 35K. It's financial services. They'll pay you somewhere between 60K to 150K because you're dealing with financial applications now on top of help desk. And you're also dealing with a bunch of other things on top of help desk. So it gets a little more complicated. So that's why I love dealing with help desk, because there's a lot of applications involved. If you work in financial services, you can make over 6 figures if you work help desk in the financial industry.
You can make, wait a minute, pause. You said you can make 6 figures on the help desk.
Yes.
Oh, in financial, and man,
financial, yeah.
That's crazy. I know network engineers that don't even make 6 figures. That's wild. That's But you know what? What I found interesting is that you said that you get access to know how to troubleshoot Bloomberg terminal. So if you're in the financial industry and you're working on Bloomberg terminal, do you get access to it?
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically Bloomberg Terminal is an application that the traders. So I work with executives. So I work with high end executives. Like my previous job, I was an IT support for the CEO of the company, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
have I worked directly with the CEO. So he don't put tickets in. He just comes straight to me and I
Right.
fix the problem. So they have trading applications that they use, right? And these applications make millions and millions of dollars for the company as a whole. So if you
Yeah.
know how to troubleshoot it, it's an application that the company uses. It's like Outlook, right? If you know how to troubleshoot Outlook, it's the same thing. So basically, it's an application that's installed on the computer, and if you know how to troubleshoot it for a user who's having an issue, then you can make a lot of money out of that because those are applications that Bloomberg uses to make their money for everyone else in Wall Street or in financial institutions. So you need to know how to fix that. So if you know how to fix that and help desk, because they use the terminal and they use an add-in. So there's an add-in that comes together with it. So you install the add-in on Excel, right? And then what happens is what the executive or what the person that's trading does, they basically run PLP, they run Python, they run Anaconda, and they run all these other applications, right? And then basically they import the numbers, they grab all the numbers and they put it on the Excel sheet. And the Excel sheet
Mm-hmm.
will not update if Bloomberg's not installed on Excel, the add-in's not installed. So then it updates and refreshes all the data and all the numbers that come in from that financial application or from that financial vendor that they're looking at in the actual terminal itself. It updates the numbers in there, and then they can see what's the loss, what's the win, how much you're losing, how much you're winning. Like, it shows all that. So if you know how to
Yeah.
troubleshoot that, you can make a lot of money in that.
Yeah. That sounds like it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Working in fintech. Another key piece that you mentioned previously was about executives coming directly to you. For those of you that have not worked in the help desk and don't understand what he's saying, is that so in typical desktop support, you have like a ticketing system that may be Sev 1, Sev 2, Sev 3. But outside of that, there are times when you support executives and when they have an issue, they supersede all of that. Can you kind of talk about that process and what that experience has been like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I work with the like even now currently I work in so I work for this is my position is a little weird because I work for an MSP as a sysadmin, but then the company the MSP has different vendors they work with, right? So one of the companies that they have is a hedge fund, and I work directly with them. So I'm their main IT guy for that hedge fund, and they have executives in that hedge fund. They even have like CEO, CFO, CIO. I work directly with them. Like I work with those type of people in the past, so they're very high demand. You have to have like a special hands, like executive support, like white hand glove support. You have to know how to treat them a certain way
Yeah.
because they're executives. So you have to know how to talk to them, and that comes back with that's why I talk about people skills a lot, right? That comes back with people skills because if you don't know how to talk to someone, and if you mess something up, they're not going to be your friend anymore. They're going to want another IT person. So
Exactly.
you have to know how to talk to people when you're talking with executives because these guys are and this I'm not making this up, but there are people in New York, right? This is New York, so New York's expensive, right? Obviously keep that in mind. So these are executives that make 500, 600, $900,000 a year, right? So
Easy.
they're
Yeah.
losing money. If their shit doesn't work, they're gonna get mad at you. They're losing money. They're like, no, okay, well, Kevin, you better fix that right now. So and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll fix it right now. So, but the thing is, you gotta keep in mind that if you have really good people skills, like your people skills are on point, like crazy, they
Yeah.
don't get mad at you. Like no one gets mad at me at all because they like me because they like my personality and they like me as a person because I listen to them. I
Yep.
listen to what they have to say, and I hang out with them. I actually hang out with them. I go out and eat with them. I hang out with them. I memorize like what their favorite food is, their favorite cat, their favorite dog. I just we treat each other like family. Then now I don't treat them like a end user. I don't do that. I don't treat people like that. So
Nah.
you have to know how to treat people a certain way, and they respect you. So.
Yeah. You know what? I think that gets overlooked when it comes to tech support in general when it comes to operations being on the help desk, because a lot of people that get in that position are thinking about their next position and not the current position that they're in. How did you keep the focus of, okay, this is what I'm doing, and was this something that you enjoy, or I guess my question is, were you looking for another opportunity in those help desk support roles, or did you just were passionate about the job that you were doing?
I was passionate about the job I was doing because for if you don't know, help desk is a little different in financial institutions. So if I were to tell you what I could do in help desk for financial institutions, it's totally different. It's not your typical Active Directory, right? So it's just I have help desk. I worked in help desk for a hedge fund, right?
Right.
And I had access to Active Directory, make changes in group policy. I had access to reserve IP addresses. I had access to DNS, DHCP. I had access to Exchange Admin Center. We also do Cisco Call Manager. We also deal with Cisco Meraki, and we also deal with Exchange Admin Center, and we also deal with two-factor MFA authentication, like dual, right? So this is not your typical help desk, and that's why I tell people that if you know how to work in a hedge fund, they're gonna have you. They'll probably give you access to those things depending where you work, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I like to do because I don't get bored every day, right? It's something different. Every day is a different ticket. It's a different thing to do. It's not the same thing over and over again. Like, oh, I need you to reset my password. It's not like that. So that's why I got stuck in that position for a while, and now currently it's a little different. Currently, I work as a sysadmin, but I also do IT support for the hedge fund. That's what I do currently right now in my current position. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
With these IT help desk and support roles, I think often when people apply for these jobs, the titles don't match what you actually do. Have you experienced that? And how do you know if an opportunity is going to be an opportunity that improves your skills rather than one that just looks good on paper?
So I usually look at the job description. So like if it says help desk on it, I look at the job description and I look at what they're asking for. Obviously, if because I work with so you got to keep in mind that I mentor people too. So outside of YouTube world and outside of outside of my job, I mentor people as well. So I always look at the job description and I tell them to look at that and then go based on that, because I know someone that got a job in help desk and they only had access to do password reset. That's all they had access to, and that was their job basically. So you want to look at the job description, look at what they're asking for, and also look at the pay is matching what what they're asking for. The pay has to match, right? So obviously, if you're applying for a job and it's help desk and they're asking you to do networking responsibilities, right? And they're giving you a help desk role, it doesn't make any sense, right? They have to pay you more, right? Because you're doing more responsibility, right? It's not the same thing. So you want to look at the job description. You look at that, see if they're asking for help desk related stuff, or it's just like one thing that you have access to. Because some companies do that. Some companies, help desk is not created equal. You got to keep that in mind. It's not created equal because in one job you may have access to Active Directory. I have a friend right now. He works help desk. He's a guy that I helped him get a job. He's from New Jersey. He doesn't have access to Active Directory, and he's called help desk. So you want to keep that in mind. It's different everywhere. It depends on the company. It depends on the job description. It depends on, there's a lot of things that play into it. So that's why I said, look at the job description, make sure that the technologies there are help desk related, and make sure you have access to Active Directory, man. Come on, man. Okay, you gotta, that's the only way you'll learn. You gotta have access to more stuff. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. I think when it comes to not only looking at the job description, but once you look at the job description, if you get the interview, ask questions in the interview about the technologies you'll be working on. Ask specifically, I was wondering, what does a day-to-day look like in this position? How do you approach the interview when it comes to the questions that you ask?
So for help desk, typically I always talk about the home labs. That's why I Mr. Lab every day over here. So you want to build your own little lab. So this is what I teach on my channel, by the way. So I have a YouTube channel. So if you want to go and learn about the labs, I do cover that. So you want to build your own little home lab at home. You want to learn about Active Directory, learn about Office 365, learn about group policy, learn about password reset, account creation, like things like that. They'll ask you things on that, and they ask you things on Windows 10. So maybe throw Windows 10 in the VM, or you could just use your own personal PC, right? And then when you go to the job interview, you're more prepared for the questions they're going to ask you. So usually the questions are typically based on the job description, based on your resume, or based on your personality questions. So they ask these annoying questions, right? Like these crazy personality questions. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yep.
What is your greatest weakness? What is your greatest strength?
Yeah.
Do you work well with a team? You know, it depends with the company that you're working with. So you want to keep that in mind as well, because every company asks stuff based. It could be personality questions. It could be technical questions. It could be based on the description of the job that you're applying for. It could be based on your resume. So that's why I tell people, don't lie on your resume. Do not lie on your resume, because they're going to ask you about your resume. They're going to ask you a question about your resume. And then when they ask you that question, you don't know how to answer it. You're screwed, basically. Like, okay, let's go to the next candidate, you know? So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, and if that happens, I like this is just me because I've had a lot of bad interviews. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat and say I'm excellent at every interview. I had a lot of bad ones. How do you recover from an interview that didn't go so well, or have you ever experienced that?
No, that happened to me. I had an interview with someone. They asked me some strange questions that I didn't know anything about, and honestly, I took it as a learning experience. I didn't took it as like, oh man, I didn't get the job. You know, it's okay. For anyone that's brand new to IT, if you didn't get the job, it's okay. Like, you have other opportunities, right? So what you wanna do is, when you fail in an interview, you want to get feedback from the hiring manager. If they could give you feedback as to why you didn't do good on the interview, then you take notes of that. You want to take notes of what you did wrong, and how you did it wrong, because this is something that I teach as well. This is what I teach as well too. Like, if you don't get the job, it's because you're either lacking in tech skills, like you cannot answer the technical questions, or you're lacking your soft skills. You're lacking in personality questions. Like, you're lacking, like, the manager's like, I don't know if this guy fits well with our company, so I'm not gonna hire him.
Right.
So that's what I tell people to do. You know, like, just, but also, like, I tell people that it's very important that, this is what I teach, right? This is what I teach. It's very important that when you don't get the job, right? It's very important that you embrace rejection. So that's very important. You know how to embrace rejection. Like, you're gonna get rejected a couple of times, but then someone's gonna open the door for you and give you a chance. That's how I look at it. That's my way of teaching. So
Yeah, you have to have, thick skin when it comes to being in interviews and just in IT in general, because there's going to be times where you have good interviews, bad interviews. There's going to be times where you walk into work and you get everything right and you are knocking out tickets left and right. It's great days. But there's going to be days where you're just not able to solve any problems and you're just getting stuck on ticket after ticket and you're just feeling buried and you just want to hide away and disappear. That's just me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's just me. Hey, so I have a question in the chat, and I've been through this. I was stuck on the help desk for 6 years. Regina Cameron, she's saying that she lives in Maryland and she works for the government. She has a degree and experience and still can't get an interview or a job, and she wants to give up. What advice do you have for her to help her get an interview and land a job?
So it's always going to be the resume. So I always tell everyone that it's always going to be the resume. So fix your resume. So one thing I tell everyone to do is fix your resume. Your resume tells a story. It talks about you. So you want to make sure you have a solid resume, and make sure the resume is very tech related, right? Obviously, if you have restaurant experience like I did, right, you're not going to put it on the resume. That doesn't make any sense, right? So you want to make sure the resume is tech related, and make sure the resume is talking to that job description that you're applying for, because the resume is the most important part, because there's an ATS system. So basically, when you submit your resume, it scans your resume. Like, it goes through HR, the hiring manager, and everyone, right? And if your resume is bad, he's gonna grab it and throw it in the trash bin. So that's like the most important thing, is fixing your resume. That's number one. Number two, what I recommend for you to do is, which people don't really talk about, fix your LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn is very important. LinkedIn is not used properly. A lot of people don't know how to use LinkedIn properly. So you want to make sure you have a really solid LinkedIn profile. You have a professional background picture. Obviously not one of you having a party or something like that, right? You want to have a professional picture, right? You also want to have everything there on the LinkedIn profile that is all tech related. You have your certifications listed in there, your degree and everything. And then you start connecting with job recruiters. That's another thing. Start connecting with job recruiters. And you could do that as well. Then like the next thing you could do, you could freelance, right? People could freelance, you could do contract work, you could volunteer to get job experience. There's like so many different ways to get job experience. And then the other thing, like I said, is make sure you build a home lab. As always, I talk about home labs. That lab is very important because you got something to talk about when you go to a job interview. So those are all the things I would do if I was going for a job or if I was trying to apply for a job. It's always going to go back to the resume, though. I always talk about that because no one pays attention to you if you have a bad resume. So,
yeah. Before we talk about the interview process, building upon the resume itself, when we talk about those keywords, sometimes it isn't just enough to, clean up your resume and add the relevant experience and information. Sometimes you may need to get a certification and make sure those keywords and you have the skills that they're looking for in that field. What is your advice to make sure that you have the skills in line to add to your resume?
yeah. So I actually have a full video on YouTube on resumes. So if you're brand new to IT, you may want to look at that video. I have a video on my YouTube channel on a resume you could use right now if you're brand new to IT. So it talks about the resume that I have. It has technical proficiencies, right? It says Active Directory, Office 365, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Mac OS X. It has group policy. It has a bunch of other things on the resume. So you want to make sure it's targeting the job you're applying for. So it has to be like that. You cannot just have some random stuff on the resume. So what I do is I look at the job description, right? I look at 4 different jobs and I look at what they're asking for, right? Then I try to match what they're asking for on my resume and make it similar to that. And then I add that on my resume. And also on top of that, I have a section on the bottom. If you're brand new, right? You have a section on the bottom. It's going to be like home labs, right? And you have like, you talk about VMware, Hyper-V or something like that. You put it there you have to put something there, like some sort of home lab experience on the resume because you don't have any experience, right? So you want to add that there on the bottom somewhere. And then all the way on the top, you have your first name, your last name, right? Where you live, and you have your LinkedIn URL, LinkedIn profile URL. And then that's pretty much like a solid resume. And you have your education, your certs and everything in there. So that's how I would do it. So
awesome. Thank you for that, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the interview process. Let's say your resume is tight. You're getting callbacks, you're getting interviews. How do you land the job in the interview? What are some advice that you have for people to be successful in that process?
So this is my favorite part actually. So when you're actually going for a job interview, the first thing I recommend before you go to the job interview, I want you to make sure you do a couple of mock interviews. So have your mom, have your dad, have your aunt, have someone that you know that could do mock interviews with you just to see how you answer the questions. Because a lot of people, when they go to a job interview, they either stutter, they don't know what to say, they have no script on how to answer the question. So you want to have something to answer the question. You want to have some sort of script, right? Yeah. You're going to be asked some technical questions. You want to have some sort of script so you can answer the questions. And you want someone to interview you first, so you're less nervous when you go to the job interview, because a lot of people get nervous when they go to job interviews, right? Yeah. That's the first thing I recommend is doing mock interviews. The second thing I recommend is you could record yourself. So if you have no one that could interview you, you grab your camera, right? You go somewhere over here, just record yourself and see how you answer the questions. Ask yourself the question. I know it sounds weird that you're talking to yourself, but that's how I would do it. I'm like, okay, so what is Active Directory? And I talk about it, and then I have it recorded, and I see how I answer the question. See if I'm answering and not stuttering, the entire time. So that's the second thing I recommend you do. The third thing I recommend you do is research the company. Like people do not want to research the company. Research the company, research what they do, research what they specialize in, because sometimes they ask you those questions like, what do we do? What do we specialize? Tell us more about what we do and what we are and stuff like that. So those are things like that. That's like the mock interview part is very important. I do that, by the way. So I do I do mock interview training. So like if you're going for a help desk interview tomorrow, I will look at the job description and I'll ask you questions based on that. That's how I do it. So
I love that. I love that. I love that, man.
yeah.
I think when it comes to an interview, there's a lot of things that you mentioned that I agree with. Researching the company, oftentimes a company will have a mission statement, and what I like to do is see what the mission statement is, and then when they ask me to tell about myself, I try to already talk about the things, not only just my career, tell the story about my resume, but while I'm telling the story about my resume and my career, I talk about my mission and my purpose and align that with their mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So my story is flowing in already like I belong in this company. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned this earlier about telling your resume should tell a story. So when they say, tell me about yourself, you should already tell the story about your resume. So you answer all the questions that they're going to ask you about your resume because you know it by your heart because it tells the same story that you're about to tell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That's usually how I teach. So for people that are brand new to IT, like Kevin, I don't have job experience. So how do I sell myself, right? When you go to the tell me about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself. So that question is like when they talk about that, they don't want to know about where you live, obviously. They want to know about your technical skills, right?
Yeah.
So say I'll give you a real example. You're applying for a help desk role, right? And they told me, tell me about yourself. And you say, oh, I have a virtual lab at home with VMware. I'm familiar with Server 2016. I installed Active Directory on that server. I also set up user accounts on users and computers once I install Active Directory. I'm also familiar with creating share drives, and I'm familiar with NTFS and giving people access to a certain security group. And I'm also familiar with just giving people access through group policy as well, like changing certain things on the back end, like disabling the task manager, disabling this, disabling that. And you start talking about that. This is what I did in my home lab. And I see that you're hiring for a position about Helpdesk and Active Directory. And I'm familiar with that. I know how to do that. And that's the reason why you should hire me. So you talk like that. That's how you talk in a job interview if someone is brand new and you don't know how to talk.
Yeah.
Basically. So
I used to be really nervous in interviews. I think the longer I've been in IT and the many interviews that I've done, that nervousness has kind of gone away.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
Do you still get nervous?
Oh yeah, I get a little bit nervous. Not a lot. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I used to sweat profusely.
That's funny.
Like my armpits, you walk, man, it used to be embarrassing. Like why is this guy sweating so much? You just don't know. I'm dying on the inside right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but okay. Now kind of shifting gears. When it comes to landing a job in IT, how do you approach your first day on the job, your first week, your first month? What is your approach to starting out your first role in IT?
So that's a very good question. So for someone that's brand new to IT, I typically tell them that I need you to be a sponge, right? So I need you to be a sponge. I need you to ask a lot of questions, and I need you to understand. Obviously, they're gonna know everything, right? So no one knows everything. If someone says they know everything, there's something wrong with them. So what you do is you ask the right questions. You figure out what tickets go to the right department, because a lot of people that are brand new to IT typically they don't know how to do that. So like you have a cybersecurity team, you'll have a sysadmin team, you'll have a network admin team, you'll have a DevOps team or something else, right? So you want to know what ticket goes to what queue, because someone might be asking for, I need access to an instance of AWS, right? And you give that ticket to someone that's in the network team on the network queue, right? It's like, why are you assigning me this ticket? This is not network related, right? So you have to know how to assign tickets to the right queue. That's something that I talk about. The other thing is the first week is very boring. Typically, there's a lot of compliance and HR training. So you're gonna deal with that. So drink a lot of coffee if you drink coffee or tea. The third thing is asking the right questions to your manager. Like, Do we have a knowledge base, right? Do we have a confluence page? Because I don't want to be nagging you and bothering you while we're doing these tickets. So do you guys have a knowledge base or a KB, an article or something that I could relate to if I'm having this weird issue? Because I don't want to ask help the entire time when I'm brand new, like stuff like that.
Right.
Obviously, your coworkers are gonna help you because you're brand new, right? You don't know everything, so no one knows everything. So they're gonna train you. They're gonna show you the ropes. Just make sure you take a lot of notes. Make sure you ask the right questions. Make sure you ask, oh, okay, why we're doing this? How do you get access to that? What they're asking for this, and then also make sure that when you're learning something, you're not asking the same question 5 times in a row. Because people that are brand new to IT, like I understand you're new, but if you take notes on it, take notes on it, right? And then don't ask the same question several times to the same person. They're gonna get annoyed by that. So don't do that. That's the other thing I talk about. And then obviously, if you're brand new too, the issue you're having, someone probably resolved it in the past, right? So you have your ticketing system, right? You could just go on the ticketing system, just search for Outlook not responding or something like that, and then see what comes out as the results before you ask for help, right? Then you see the ticket, you see how it was resolved, and then you try to resolve it on your own for helping the user. But it's like so many different things. But the one thing I tell is be a sponge and ask the right questions. So
Man, you just dropped like 20 jewels. I hope everybody is soaking that up. I want to sum up three things you said, and I don't know if you said the first one. So we'll say where you started. Documentation. Ask about the knowledge base or any documentation that your organization has. Like that's extremely important. Is getting comfortable and knowing where to find information at. The second thing that you mentioned is searching the ticketing system, looking at prior tickets. Like you mentioned, if you run into a problem, there's probably somebody else that had that problem, right?
Yep.
So learn to search that ticketing system and find those problems. The third thing, and I'll probably just add this one because I don't think you said it, is Google.
Google, yeah.
Yeah, get comfortable in searching on the web for answers and knowing how to ask the right question on Google.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get your Google. I tell people you need a black belt in Google, fool.
A black. I like that. I like that. Right, hey, I like that. I like that. The another thing that you mentioned that I really liked was about documenting when you taking notes, and I think that is a real skill to not only take proper notes, but knowing how to find your notes once you take those notes, knowing how to store those notes. For me, I used to use OneNote. I don't use that anymore. I've switched from that. What do you use to store your notes and documentation?
I use several things. I use the notepad on Outlook. I use OneNote, and then we have a Confluence page, so I put all my notes on the Confluence page for Jira.
Nice. Okay.
So, yep.
Nice. When I used to use OneNote, and so my last role, I was like tier 3 network engineer. And so the ticketing system that we use was Remedy, right? And so in Remedy, what I would do for each ticket that I opened, I would like copy the ticket number in a OneNote page. Then I would actually copy the notes from the ticket, put it in that OneNote, and then I would document all my notes in that OneNote page for that ticket. So anytime I ran into an issue, I never really had to search in Remedy because Remedy was convoluted when you're trying to search in it. I would just search into my OneNote, for all of my issues, and then I share it out with my team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think working with your team is like a real asset to not only be able to, like, for lack of better words, pick their brain, but to also talk to them and share information. How do you work with the team?
With me is for starters, people really like my personality, so I never had issues with anyone on my team. So
Yeah.
I love to ask questions. I love to work together with our team, and it's all about teamwork, right? So we're trying to resolve an issue. So I may ping a sysadmin, right? I'm like another sysadmin, or I might ping a network admin, right? And this is gonna be a really random, but it's like, oh, so are we gonna have like lunch after this? I hang out with all my team, right? We hang out together, right? We hang out. It's like it's teamwork, but at the same time we also hang out. So I tell people, oh, you want to grab a beer or we go out and hang out. So I hang out with everyone on my team. So that's why I don't have issues with anyone. So if I ask someone for a favor, nobody questions my favors. Like, oh, Kev, you need help with that? Come over here. I'll show you real quick. So you have you have people that want to teach you, and then you have people that do not want to teach you. So just keep that in mind. There are people out there that, unfortunately, that's just how it is in IT, that they are knowledge hoards. They don't want to give you any information. So for those people, I mean, I feel bad for them. But for people that love to teach other people, that's awesome that you're doing that. So that's the thing, is that I never had issues with any of my coworkers. I get along with everyone. If I ask you for help for something, they'll help me. And sometimes the funny thing is sometimes that they may have a problem. Like we had a problem recently, right? I had an issue recently, and they didn't know how to fix it. I knew how to fix it. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know how to fix it? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'll show you how to do it real quick. So then I had an issue. I didn't know how to fix it. Like, you know what? I kind of owe you one. So let me go and fix this for you real quick. That's how we go back and forth. But everyone likes each other. And we click, everyone clicks with each other. That's that you gotta have the right team,
Yeah, that's really important. That's really important. Here's a question: remote support. Do you like remote support? And what is your advice for somebody that's just starting IT in a remote IT tech support role?
So it's I do. So to answer your question, I used to do remote support. I don't do that anymore. I do like hybrid. So I'm hybrid. So I do like 2 days, 3 days in the office and then 2 days at home. If you're brand new to IT, you could definitely land a remote job. I've seen a bunch of people do that, by the way. So you just the thing is, it's going to be a little tricky, but we have Zoom, right? We have Zoom, we have Teams, we have Cisco WebEx. So people will train you through like a video call if you're brand new to IT. So you could definitely land a remote desktop job. The majority of jobs, like if you're typing helpdesk, like if you type helpdesk, right, you just type remote helpdesk and it will come up. Like all these jobs will come up. And obviously if like I tell people, if you're not finding jobs in your area, look for remote jobs in other areas, because of the whole pandemic thing, right? Now people are actually hiring for remote jobs. So you could go and apply for a job in New York if you wanted to, and be fine. No one will say anything. So
do you I feel that like working in a team and learning my environment and things kind of took I learned more in the office. Like I worked better in the office than I did remotely in engineering. You know what I mean? Just because being around people, seeing problems, hearing problems, and being able to just talk and interact with other people, I was just like, I'm a sponge for information, so I was just able to pick up all that. Which one did you enjoy like the most, remote or in the office?
I like both. To be honest with you, I like both, because when the thing is, you got to keep in mind that I work with executives. So right. if I'm in the office, everyone's constantly grabbing me. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And if I'm remote, no one's grabbing me at all. Like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm just looking at the queue, closing tickets, and picking up the phone calls too, because we use Cisco Jabber. And you just like remote in and you're like, oh, I'll get on your computer. Yeah, let's go ahead and I'll fix that problem for you real quick. So, and when I'm in the office, everyone grabs me. Everyone needs something. When I'm not in the office, no one bothers me at all. So, it varies, it varies. But I love being with people sometimes, it's not all about being home the entire time,
Yeah, so. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For everyone that's joining us, we're here with Kev Tech. He has a YouTube channel where he helps people get into the IT industry, advance in the IT industry, and he's often answering questions and he's doing his part to help you in your IT career. All of his contact information is in the description of this video. Now, I want to take a moment to get some questions answered in the chat. So if you all have any questions, please drop them in the chat at this time. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in. We thank you for joining us. And shout out to the moderators. I see my guy, Deshaun Carter. What's up, family? Sam Jones. Appreciate you, family.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate for you guys joining today.
Yep. Network, bruh.
Yo,
Good to see you, family. My cousin Dale. What's up, Dale? Good to see you, cuz. I
I was gonna say one thing is very important. Like this is very important is when you're brand new to IT, right? If you guys, everyone watching today, if you're brand new to IT, one thing that I teach is embrace rejection. So when you're brand new, you want to embrace rejection. So I don't know if you I don't know the one of Lightfoot. I don't know if you've seen my post I made on LinkedIn. I actually got 4,000 responses from LinkedIn. And I put it's a post that I because I could relate to this post, and I think I could relate to everyone, right?
yeah.
It said, I got rejected, I got rejected, I got rejected, I got rejected. I got the interview, I got rejected. I got rejected, I got the job. So that's how it is in IT. IT is like that. When you're brand new to IT, you have a bunch of hiring managers like, why the hell should I hire you if you have no job experience? So one thing I teach is you got to have that like even me, like I have job experience, right? No one wanted to hire me.
Right.
Yeah. So, just saying that it's going to happen it happens to everyone. When you're new, you're not new and you have job experience, that's going to happen to you. So keep that in mind that in the back of your head, you have to have the right mindset when you're coming into IT, have the right mindset, because if you don't have the right mindset, then you're like, man, is IT not for me? Like have the right mindset.
Yeah.
So,
That that's great advice. Have the
mhm.
right mindset, and honestly, sometimes you got to be creative when finding a job. The traditional just applying for a job, putting your resume out there, going to an interview, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes you got to be outside the box, build relationships, go to meetups, do all types of stuff, to think of ways to get to where you want to be. It's not a straight line all the time.
No, definitely. That's why I tell people that like the one thing I talk about on LinkedIn is that you have this button called feature, right? So on LinkedIn, you could actually make a lab video and then you add it on the feature. So then the hiring manager could see your lab video of what you did in IT support. And then they may hire you because I know a guy in London, he got a job in IT because he had a YouTube video of him doing a lab of Cisco Packet Tracer, and the hiring manager was so impressed by him that he got a job because of that. So he actually linked his YouTube video. He put it on the feature option on LinkedIn, and he got the job in IT. And that's one example. Another example, another guy that I know, right? And I never seen this done before. This is random. Another guy that I know, he attached his resume and he attached his CompTIA A+ certification, and he sent it to the hiring manager, and he passed HR and everyone, and he got the job.
Ah,
So
man.
yeah, it's like unorthodox, right? You gotta go unorthodox, do whatever you can to get the job, right? So there are several ways to get a job in IT. So
Man. Before I got on YouTube, man, before I got on YouTube, I wasn't getting no opportunities, to be honest with you. Like, I was on the help desk for like 6 years. And I had military experience. I had all types of experience. But before I got on YouTube and started, helping people and putting out information and doing labs and just doing what I could to help other people, you know, I wasn't getting those opportunities. And then something just started clicking. I started meeting people, started building relationships, and eventually my life just kind of evolved. God is good if you're just patient and, just give back. He gives back to you. That's kind of how I feel about it.
no, I definitely agree with you. That's why my YouTube channel, I cover so many things on my YouTube channel. I cover Office 365, Exchange, right? I cover how to fix your resume. I actually bought a resume recruiter that fixes resumes, like a tech resume writer. She spoke like 2 weeks ago, and that video got a lot of views because people were like, "Oh wow, what do you have on your resume?" So she went based on my YouTube channel, based on what I teach, and she made
Yeah.
a template resume just specifically to my channel. So you have to watch certain videos on my channel in order for you to use that resume. So
Yeah.
the thing is, I have a lot of videos on YouTube. So it's like Office 365, I had Active Directory, I have how to build your own home lab, software deployment, how to answer interview questions. So if you don't know how to answer interview questions, I have 32 videos on how to answer interview questions, like questions you may be asked in a job interview. And I know people that have watched my interview playlist. It's called my interview playlist, right?
Yeah.
That watch that playlist and use my resume template and they got a job in IT doing that. And
Nice.
150 people last year got a job doing that. This year,
Nice.
300 people got a job doing that. So
Nice.
if you can't give me an excuse. I have a lot of videos. Like it's just like go watch my videos, do the home labs, fix your resume, and connect with people.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
Yep.
Go check out Kev. All of his contact information is in the description of
Mm-hmm.
this video.
Yep.
Now, I'm gonna get to some of these questions. The first question is from Robert Leon, and he said, "I was told to work in the help desk because I have no experience. I have the A plus certification and CCNA. How long should I work on the help desk before I can start working as a network engineer or an admin?"
So for you, I recommend you actually start applying for network admin jobs. So for help desk, typically I tell someone if you're doing help desk, it's entry level, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's entry level. So you can stay there for about a year or two typically. That's the one thing I tell everyone to stay and help desk for at least a year or two. It doesn't have to be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I don't recommend that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
I tell people 1 to 2 years. And also, if you feel like you're not learning anything, that's the other thing. If you're not learning anything and you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you've been there for a year, right? It's time for you to leave. It's time for you to level up. It's time for you to take your CCNA knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And lab it up with Cisco Packet Tracer or GNS3, right? Like just do something, do some sort of lab, right? And then when you do this is my advice directly to you, right? What you do is you gotta go online right now. I'm gonna give you homework, right? Go online right now, go on Indeed.com, right? Or whatever, Dice or LinkedIn, whatever, right? You type network admin, right? You go and look at the job description. This is called resume. This is called applying for jobs, targeting jobs. Now you're targeting network jobs, right? You look at 3 things that they're asking for, and you try to learn those things, right? And you go and look for another network admin job. You'll see like 3, 4, 5 different jobs asking for the same thing. It gets very repetitive, right? So you look at the description of the job, you see 3, 4 different things, not everything. Obviously, you don't know everything in the job description. You learn those skills, right? You add those skills to your resume, then you start applying for those network admin jobs. So that's what I would do. That's my advice to you.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it in the beginning. If you got your CCNA, which is not really an entry level cert, go ahead and start applying for the network engineer roles.
Mm-hmm.
The network engineer one, there's so many out there that are looking for entry level network engineers. I mean, and there were so many remote jobs as well that are looking for entry level network engineers. Like you mentioned, get on LinkedIn, put all the description information that is relevant for you for that job on your resume, apply for that job, and you get a call back, prepare for the interview, go in there and knock it out, and you'll get your job. It's not that simple, but if you're consistent and you continue learning along the way, that opportunity is going to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next question is from Noonie.
Uni.
Right. How do you filter through job postings to find a legit that's a good question. Remote work opportunities, as some are listed as remote work, but aren't truly that. Are there keywords to look for?
There's not really keywords to look for per se. Like it would be like you have to look at so I always tell everyone like do your due diligence, right? Use Glassdoor and do your homework and make sure you're asking the right questions to the hiring manager or HR because you don't want to so this is how I am when it comes to this, right? When you're interviewing for a job, you're interviewing them as well. Just keep that in mind. It goes both ways. So you're interviewing them and they're interviewing you. You want to see if you fit well with their culture, their company. You want to see if they fit well with you. You want to ask them the right questions. You want to ask them, is this a full-time remote job or is it part-time role? Is it hybrid? Tell me more about the job role. What does it entitle? Let me know what the hours are. Because when you're applying for this job and you're going for the job interview, you don't want to walk into something that is a horrible experience for you, and then you have a horrible experience in IT, and then after that, you don't want to work IT anymore, right? So you want to figure out that information. You want to ask those types of questions, and you want to ask another important thing to ask, right? If you're doing remote jobs or anything like that, you want to ask the hiring manager, like, why do you like working here? So you wanna ask them questions too, like, why do you like working here? What's a typical day like for me if I were to start in the next 90 days? Questions like that.
Right.
You got to know how to ask the right questions. Otherwise, you're not going to get the right results.
Right. That,
So,
that's true. That's true. That's true.
yep. So that's my answer to that.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Next question is from Clayton Washburn. How to continue growing as a help desk technician after the first year? I received feedback about documentation and troubleshooting. What are your day-to-day goals when in the office?
So my day-to-day goals in the office is typically so I'll give you an example based on me, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, that's crazy. So and this is because I had a portfolio, right? So when I went and I was working in my help desk job, I had all the tickets I closed every single day, and all the tickets I closed every single month, and all the projects I have done in the company, and like stuff that I did in the company to make the company make money, if that makes sense. And I built a portfolio on that. So you have like a portfolio based on that, right? So then after you do all that, like you tell, okay, listen, you tell the hiring manager, listen, I closed this amount of tickets, I did all these projects, I did all these back end stuff, right, to make things better for people that work here. I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. You basically have a portfolio, right?
Yeah.
Once you build your portfolio, you have something to showcase to your hiring manager or the manager you're talking to or the manager you're working with, right? Director, whoever it is, right? They're going to give you a bonus. They'll probably give you an incentive, but you have to build some sort of portfolio based on your performance. Like, it's not all about like, I'll be honest with you, it's not all about you closing 2 tickets and then you leave the rest of the tickets in the queue, right? A lot of people, what they do is they take all the easy tickets, right? You don't want to do that. Take the hard tickets too. That's how you learn, is by taking the hard tickets, right? So you want to take all the tickets in the queue. So what I did was, because I'm crazy, right? See, it's different for me. I was over here closing 1,200 tickets a month, so 1,200 tickets a month. So I was closing 1,200 tickets a month, and sometimes I would close 1,300 tickets, 1,400 tickets, and I wouldn't let anyone take any tickets from the queue. That's just me. I'm like very aggressive. Like I was grabbing tickets left and right, answering all the phone calls, and just being Superman when it comes to taking tickets and doing all that. And I grabbed the tickets, even the hard ones. I took all of them. And then when I went and I had a portfolio to talk about, right? I went, I gave it to my manager, and my manager gave me a $10,000 bonus because of all the work that I did, because I had a portfolio and all the work that I did. So
nice, man.
Yeah.
I've never got a $10,000 bonus on the help desk.
Yep.
That FinTech world is a different world.
Yeah,
that's what's up. But I think it's important to understand what you're saying about documenting everything that you do on the job, because that's going to help you not only, when you're going for that promotion or you're going for that bonus or you're going for that raise, but also when you're going to interview for your next position. Mm-hmm. Because when you're preparing for your resume, now you know everything that you've done. You can add that directly to your resume, and then you can look at what you've done over that year, 2 years of that position. You can walk into an interview and talk about exactly what you've done because you have documented it all.
Yep. So one thing I talk about is the portfolio. You have to build your portfolio, and you have to build your relationships too with the people you're working in the office. So the other part is the relationship. So it's very important, by the way. So the relationship is very important with the people you're working in the office. So you don't want to have a bad relationship with a client, because and this is what I talk about in IT as well, on my channel and outside of my channel. I talk about building relationships with your coworkers, building relationships with your manager, and building relationships with the people you work with in the office, because you want to have a good reputation in the company. You don't have a bad reputation in the company, right?
Right.
So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that you're actually the go-to guy. Like, oh yeah, Kevin fixed that Outlook issue for me, and then you have someone else right in the company. Oh, Chris, yeah, Chris, Kevin took care of me. Maybe you should go ahead and call him. He'll take care of you. You want like a good reputation like that, right?
Yeah.
Now one that's reversed, right? And like, yeah, Kevin didn't take care of me. He was a bad person. He treated me like crap. It was a bad experience. Yeah, don't call that tech. Make sure if the phone rings, make sure he doesn't pick up the phone. I don't want him fixing my computer issues. So you want to have a good relationship with the client, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, a good relationship with the client is important.
mhm.
How do you handle those challenging, stressful situations when an executive has an issue? Let's say their laptop is completely out. How do you handle that to get them back up and running, and also to let them know that you are in control of the situation?
So that always happens to me a lot, actually. In IT, that happens to me a lot. So, and before you answer your question, this happens to me. Like sometimes we have like last minute meetings, and I walk into a conference room, it's like 40 people watching me and staring at me as I have to set up a video call, right? So it's like that with like you gotta learn how to adapt to the situation, right?
Yeah,
So his laptop's not working. What I'm immediately gonna do is I'm gonna just give him a new laptop. So I'm gonna go and grab one that I imaged already, right? And I'm gonna swap him out, and I'm gonna look at the other laptop, and I'm gonna let him know like I'm gonna look into your laptop, figure out what's wrong with it, and figure out why it's not working. But I don't want to waste your time right now, and I know you have work to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just give you another laptop. You could use this one for the time being. I'm gonna look at the other one, and I'm gonna back it up and then put it on your shared drive or put it wherever I could put it. So that's how I approach it. You have to reassure them that you're in control of the situation, because if you don't do that, you're gonna have a bunch of problems. They're gonna be like, yeah, Kev, yeah, I don't know about that guy. They start questioning your ability as a IT person. So you want to make sure that you back up their data. You want to make sure that you're basically assuring them by giving them another laptop, by assuring them that you're gonna take care of it behind the scenes.
yep, 100%, 100%. Now, once you've went through that process of helping them, getting them back up and running, how do you handle closing out tickets and documenting tickets and following up on those tickets?
So with me is I have a 3-day policy, right? So I have a 3-day policy. So if someone has a weird IT issue, typically what I do is I keep the ticket open for about a day or two, right? And I put on the ticket, like I put what I did to resolve the ticket, and then I put another comment below, right? The comment below, I put I'm keeping the ticket open for another day or two, just in case they have that issue again. I don't want it reoccurring again. So I want to keep the ticket open for now. And I put it in the private section, right? So you have to understand that there are customer notes and then there are private notes. So they can't see it, because otherwise they're going to get spammed with alerts, right? With comments on the tickets. You don't want to do that. So what I do is I put that I'm going to keep the ticket open for now. And I'm going to email the client and let them know, like, let me know if it happens again. For now, I'll keep the ticket open for another day or two. And then after that, I'll get back to you about a day or two later, like after 2 days later, right? Can I close the ticket? Is that okay for me to close the ticket? I'm just following up on the IT issue. Yes, Kevin, you could close the ticket. All right, awesome. I'm gonna close the ticket right now. And I just closed. I put the email that we had, the conversation email that we had. I copy and paste that and put it on the ticket, and then close the ticket. That's usually how I do it. So,
I mean, it don't get no better than that.
mm-hmm.
I got a question from Jacob Smith.
Yep.
This question is, when you say you created a portfolio, what did your portfolio consist of?
So my portfolio consists of the amount of tickets I close. That's number one. The amount of tickets I close. Number two is the projects. So we had a bunch of projects that nobody wanted to do, right? I did it. So we had the tickets. I closed all the tickets, and we had projects that no one wanted to do. And I'll give you a real example. So in a company, sometimes they have these things that in Helpdesk, there are projects, there are things there's always something to do. Just keep that in mind. There's always something to do. So we had a project. I had to migrate 300 people to laptops because we weren't prepared for the work from home. So I'm over here doing I'm the only one doing this, by the way. I'm over here sending laptops to people's houses and helping them log into their computers. And I helped 300 people do that during the pandemic. And that was something that I could close out as a portfolio, right? So I talked about the 300 people that I work with, the tickets I closed. And I also talked about how I volunteer, right? I volunteer to be an admin for Zoom for the CEO while he was recording and having a webinar with everyone in the company. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to do it, right? So I did it. I'm like, I'll take the responsibility. I don't care. Give it to me. So that's
Hey,
how I work.
something as simple as being an admin for like a Zoom conference or setting up a conference room for executives may seem like a simple task, right? But I think what people need to understand about this, the one important piece about providing that type of service and providing it with excellence is that it's high visibility. And a lot of times, you work with team members that may be afraid of that visibility. But if you are that person that steps up, provides your great customer service, that visibility can go a long way. What's your thoughts on that, Kev?
No, I definitely agree with you. I always tell people like you could learn IT, but you can't teach people skills. If you have the right people skills, you could basically win the battle. It's the battle in the war. It's just like if you know how to interact with different people. I work with executives. I work with executives every single day. Even my last job, like I interact with everyone. I talk to everyone. And in the financial, so you have to understand that in finance services, right? It's different. So every time something goes down, every minute counts. Every minute they lose money, right? So if something's not working on their computer, you have to stop what you're doing and fix their problem. That's how I look at it. So
Yep.
if someone's asking me like this happened to me last week actually. So someone's like, "Oh, Kev, I can't. My keyboard is not working for some reason, and this is not a regular keyboard. So this is a Bloomberg keyboard, a financial keyboard. So it's not working." So I'm like, "Okay, so what's going on?" "Oh yeah, my keyboard's not working." And I'm like, I just let go. I stopped what I was doing. I went straight over there. Just something silly, right? The cable wasn't plugged in. I plugged it in, and then his cable was working fine after that. I'm like, all right, you should be good to go, because they're trading. They're trading. They have trading hours, right? So if they're trading, and he can't do his work, the company's gonna get pissed off at me too. Like the CEO's gonna get mad at me because it's like, yo, hey, you didn't fix this problem. Like, what happened here? Like, why are you trying to close the ticket in the queue? So you have to know your priorities. You have to prioritize what's more important, right?
Yeah.
Helping someone add a printer or helping an executive with their keyboard that's losing money. So if you know how to prioritize your issues and you know how to, you could actually provide good customer service, but also, you make them feel comfortable. Like in IT is like, we're nerds, right? We're really tech savvy, right? We try not to make the customer feel dumb. So that's like one thing I teach everyone to do. Like people that I like the interns, I work with interns, I mentor people. Like we try not to make them feel dumb or silly, right? We try to make them feel like you're like they're your mom and dad, or and you're super approachable, and you make them feel comfortable, right, being around you. So if you're able to do that, then you could have a bad day with your computer. They won't get mad at you at all. At all. They won't get mad at you at all. Just saying. That's just how it is. If you're really good like that with customer service. So.
Yeah. So a couple positions ago, I worked for a government agency, and in that agency, I was talking to an exec that was like GS 15s and up, and I also supported some doctors. They all in the same environment. And so I'm talking to my boss, direct boss was an exec. And so he's saying that, I pay you to just be here just in case something happens. Oftentimes things don't happen. But the thing about this environment is that the people here may not be smart in tech, but they're geniuses in what they do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people don't understand that when you're providing support, you may think, okay, this person has no clue of what's going on, but they oftentimes are really smart at what they do. Just like you're really smart at what you do. So you shouldn't belittle them for not knowing tech. That's your lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with you. It shouldn't be that way. So I tell people, don't belittle someone or make them feel dumb just because they don't know about IT. They may be specialized in what they're doing. Like I see these executives, right? They're very like Excel guru. They're Excel focused, right? And what they're doing on Excel, I have no idea what they're doing on Excel. So
Right.
They're running these formulas, they're running these calculations, they're running these numbers that go in and out, and I'm seeing all these numbers go in and out. And I'm seeing decimals and a bunch of other stuff go on Excel. Then they open up Bloomberg terminal, and You see a bunch of numbers, red, green, yellow. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing, but don't make them feel dumb because that they're specialized in that. You know that they specialize in that. Your strength is IT. Their strength is whatever they're doing. So
Yep.
that's how
Yep.
I look at it too. So I definitely agree with you on that.
For
So.
sure. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next question is from Cisco V. What's good, family? The question is, good evening. With your extensive help desk experience, are there any repetitive processes, tasks you have improved through automation?
Yes, you can. So just keep in mind that help desk is not created equal. But one thing is that just keep that in mind because people are gonna be like, oh no, but he said that, you know. So um, for example, I'll give you a real example. You could actually unlock an account using PowerShell. Like PowerShell is there. It's PowerShell does everything, right? So I use PowerShell for giving someone access to a calendar. So I run PowerShell, I run Get, and I run the Exchange Admin Center all on PowerShell because when you're giving someone access to a mailbox, right? And Duan, you know what I'm talking about. You give someone access to a mailbox, right? Click here, click here, click here, click here, next,
Right.
click here, click here. Like I'm not gonna do that. I'll be
Yep.
here till tomorrow if I do that. So what you want to do is you want to create scripts for everything. So one of the common ones is mailbox. So I want access to this guy's mailbox. Obviously, you get approval for that, right? So then you go ahead and give them access to the mailbox. I need access for someone's calendar. You get approval for that. You give them access to the calendar. I need you to unlock my account. You run PowerShell. You unlock their account. Like those are the common things you'll be asked. A mailbox, AD account, adding someone to a security group. You just run PowerShell. Oh, I'm gonna run PowerShell now. And then the other one for help desk, right? How to unjoin a PC to the domain. Because sometimes what happens is your computer falls off the domain, right?
Yeah.
And then there, what happens is you lose a trust relationship with the server, right? So you have to know how to unjoin and rejoin it on the domain again. So those are common things you'll see in IT support help desk, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I did along with my OneNote is that I created templates for the tickets I closed. Just like you mentioned earlier about you often close the same tickets. When I close those tickets, I will have templates for the type of tickets that they are. So I may just have to put in some IP addresses or the ticket number or just certain things that's specific to that ticket. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, everything else is already there and I can just copy that and close the ticket and now the ticket is noted. Did you create any type of templates for your workflow?
Yeah. So we use ServiceNow. So on ServiceNow, you could actually create like tags and create shortcuts. So what I do is, depending on what the ticket is, and I'm starting to see this by the way in my job, there are some repetitive tickets. So what I do is I actually create like you do. I create a shortcut and I close the ticket. It auto fills it automatically. So I can just go ahead and close the ticket. So I do that with certain tickets. Then sometimes there are one-offs, right? So you
Yeah.
can't really do anything with that. You have to actually physically manually write in there if that makes sense. So.
Yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. For sure,
Mm-hmm.
man. Um, you know, I learned so much on the help desk. Um, what advice do you have for people that are on the help desk and feel like they are burnt out? Because one of the things that I experience is that oftentimes when you're providing that level of support, sometimes the workload that you have and the value that you add to the company does not feel as though you're being appreciated outside of your paycheck. What advice do you have for people that may be feeling that on the help desk?
So for someone brand new, like if you're working help desk, like one thing I talk about is please use your PTO. So if you have PTO, please take time off for yourself. That's very important because you're gonna get burned out. Like in IT, the burned out is real. It's not just help desk, by the way. It's every job. So you want to take your PTO if they give you PTO. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to do is disconnect from phones, disconnect from computers, disconnect from certain devices that you have if you're stressed out a lot because you have a phone with you every single day, right? You're on a computer every single day. So when you work help desk, like you don't even want to see a computer anymore.
Right.
So that's just how it is. So you want to do is you want to disconnect from everything. Maybe go on a hike walk or something. I don't know, but just do that, and then like the third thing I do is I exercise, I work out. So I'm a firm believer of exercise and fitness. So if you have time to exercise, throw that in there. That actually gets rid of a lot of your stress. So if you would love to work out, um, that's what I recommend: work out, exercise. I do my cardio here and there. I even hit the punching bag. I have a punching bag. I do punching bag as well. I hit the bag. I'm a huge gamer. You know, I have a PC over here, like desktop. So I play video games. I play Steam. I'm on Steam sometimes. I play Counter Strike Source. I have 13,000 hours in that game. I'm obsessed with that game. Just like do things that are not IT related, so you don't get burned out, because you're gonna get burned out in IT no matter what job you work. I'm just saying this, just being honest with you. So you want to do things that are not IT related, and you'll feel a lot better after that. So
Nice. I love that.
mhm.
Yo, speaking of working out, man, you told me you walk like 10 miles a day.
Yes, yes.
10 miles a day. Kev gets it in.
Yes, I do. I do 10 miles of walking every day. So I walk for 3 hours, 4 hours. I do 22,000 steps every day.
Mm.
Not one day I don't miss. And I do kettlebell training, and I do pull ups and chin ups. I do squats, and I hit the bag. And I used to be overweight. I told you about that. I used to be overweight. I used to be a big guy. So I used to be 200 pounds, and I lost 50 pounds in 5 months. I was a size 40 in pants. Now I'm a size 30. So
Man,
if I
that's
could
good.
lose weight, you guys could lose weight. It's possible, man. It's possible. You stay
Yeah,
healthy,
man.
man. It's not all about
Yes.
IT. You gotta stay healthy too. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yep.
Yes, sir.
hmm
What got you motivated to get active and start losing weight?
So that's because of my heart issue. So I had a heart condition. So if anyone that
Mm.
don't know, I had a heart condition with me in general. So when I went to the doctor, I have an irregular heart. So you guys don't know, I have an irregular heart. I had an irregular heartbeat. So one day I took the train. I got really sick. I got super duper sick. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, there's something wrong with me. So I went to the doctor, and I was like, yeah, you need to lose weight. My heart was like bothering me for some reason. It's like when you feel like you're about to get a stroke or something like that. So I felt like that. It felt really weird. So I felt like that. So I said I had to lose weight. So I was like, this is not, I can't be carrying all this weight on me. So I went and worked in the hedge fund at that time. I went and I was running every single day at 1 in the morning. And I was running 1 to 2 hours a day. And I lost 50 pounds in 5 months doing that. So I was doing that at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, running every day, like putting that David Goggins work, like, you don't know me, son. So I just started working out, and I changed my whole cardio, my fitness, my routine, changed my diet, everything. So that's what I did. And that's how I lost all that weight, if that makes sense. So,
Hey, man, that's what's up.
mhm.
Yo, here's a question I wanted to ask you about FinTech. When you're working in FinTech, do they do like any type of credit background checks? Is there anything that you need to know when you're applying for these jobs as far as like a background check?
Yes, they do. They do a background check on a lot of stuff. So they check if you have any like misdemeanors or felonies. They check that. That's the one thing they check.
Mm.
Some companies and hedge funds won't even hire you if you have a bad credit score.
Oh, really?
Yes. The other thing is they have trading app. They have trading. So like if you work in a hedge fund, you cannot be trading certain stocks. So certain stocks you can't trade them if you work for a specific company. If
Hmm.
you do trading for those stocks in that company, you're gonna get fired because you're not allowed to trade. Like you sign an agreement with the company for certain stocks that they give you. The other thing is you do like an aptitude exam. So basically, what that is like a financial exam, asking like if X, Y, and Z is doing this, is that consider a law like a misdemeanor, a loss and felony? So you take like an actual financial exam.
Hmm.
So the company I work for right now, I'm talking about the MSP, I'm talking about the hedge fund. They had me do a financial exam, which I'm not used to. I've never done that in my life before. So I did that. It's like, is this legal trading? This, that. Like, what about Bitcoin? Like stuff like that. So you gotta know, you gotta keep that in mind when you sign the fine print. That is very important. There's certain things that you can't do if you're working in a hedge fund. So
So that it's a financial literacy exam?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That's
Yes.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I would think though, being in fintech, that some of the financial knowledge that they have, they may share. Is there like different training, different resources that you can take advantage of to help you um, improve your finances or improve your financial knowledge?
No, yeah, they do have that. They have stock options. They have 401k. Sometimes they do
Mm,
401k with matching as well.
yeah.
That's it. That depends. Like if you've been in the company for a while, they do give you like stock options and stuff like that.
Okay. 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 That's
Hmm.
good to know. That's good to
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
All right. Let's see. I got. I'm gonna take a couple more questions. So if you all have questions, please drop them in the chat. We're gonna be here about 2, 3 more minutes. So if you got questions, drop them in the chat. But here's a question from Peter Hunt. This question is: I have my CompTIA A plus and my CCNA within the last year. Congratulations, family.
Nice job.
Yes, during the pandemic. As someone who is trying to enter the IT field, how good would you say it is to record labs and post them on social media?
For me that's very important because it shows the hiring manager that you're interested in learning. So someone that's brand new to IT and a help desk IT support, any type of support job, right? Tech support. If you show that you're interested at learning, then the manager is going to hire you. The manager wants someone that wants to learn, not someone that does not want to learn. So if you post videos, you post things about tech and stuff like that, especially on LinkedIn, right? The hiring manager will look for you. So that, oh, this person looks like they're looking for a job. Oh, okay, let's go and call this person real quick. So that's the reason why I talk about building your connections, networking, right? Not IP config for whatever, networking like LinkedIn, right? So basically, you want to connect, you build your connections, talk to job recruiters, make sure you have a good LinkedIn profile, add your videos in there if you can, and then you could talk about it in a job interview too. Like, yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I done this in my videos. You could look at this, look at that. I actually had someone Helpdesk, right? This is Helpdesk, right? He applied for a job. He asked the hiring manager asked him why you should hire me, right? And he said, I have a YouTube video on Active Directory. And I'm going to show you real quick how to do it. So come here. I'll show you on my phone real quick. And I'll show you my video on YouTube that I made. And the hiring manager hired him. So
Yeah,
it
I look.
happens.
Yeah, I agree. I look at posting blogs and posting labs and posting the things you learn on social media like LinkedIn and things like that as social currency that works for you in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Professional close social currency that works for you in your sleep. So when you're not around, when you're not posting, people are looking at the things that you post. When you're applying for these jobs, people are looking at the things that you post, looking at your background, and they can already see what you're about before you even walk in that interview. And so that kind of helps them formulate a decision as if you're someone that they will want to work with just off of what they've seen online. And now it's up to you not to mess it up in the interview. Because sometimes, it's you can go in the interview and may talk too much, act like you know more than you do, things like that. Just avoid that. Be honest and genuine about the things you know and don't know. And I think that putting your content online helps a lot.
I definitely agree with you. You see me the one like I'm crazy on LinkedIn. You see I've been posting every day. You see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I used to be active on it, man. I'm not as active on social media as I used to be.
yeah.
Like I'm busy with so much other stuff. But it's I love to see people like yourself that are passionate about it and, giving back and just helping and showing others the way because, we need more people doing it and it's improving the landscape in this industry. You know what I mean? For the people that look like us, you know what I mean?
No, definitely. Like that really messed me up, by the way. So like when I first started IT, and this is why I started my YouTube channel. So when I first started IT, I got I got misleading information, right? People tell you information, go get the A plus and you'll get the job, right? And then I got my first job, right? But then my other jobs I couldn't get them because I didn't know about home labs or anything, right? So I'm like, okay, I gotta fix my resume. I didn't know that. I gotta fix my LinkedIn profile. I didn't know that. I gotta build a home lab. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I started my YouTube channel because I got frustrated with the IT industry because people are not telling other people how to get started in IT. So
Mm.
that's the reason why I started my channel. I got really frustrated with that because people were like, yeah, just go get your A plus and you're gonna get the job after that. You don't gotta worry about your resume. You should be fine. It's not it doesn't work that way. So you got to know how to fix your resume. You got to know about the home labs, LinkedIn connections. It's not, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know, it's a lot of different things involved. So that's why I tell people, like, you know, you gotta, you know, there's a lot of different things involved. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta just look at the one's information, my information, right? Everyone's trying to help each other, right? So you want to look at the information. Like, don't go into something that's very misleading, because people like to mislead you, right? People like to give out information that's false information that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah,
That's the reason why I started my channel, because I want people to get their first job. I want people to land that first job, and I want you to have a career path and build something that makes you happy. And that's why I started my channel. So,
for sure, for sure.
yep.
I'm gonna take two more questions. This next question is from my guy Sam Jones. Hey, thanks for moderating, Sam. Appreciate you, family. This question is the ISP help desk. I was at function on the system of who you know, not what you know as far as advancement. How have you dealt with this scenario, and how did you overcome it?
So, what's the question? Who do you know?
The role that he was in, they operated on not what you know, but who you know. So in that environment, how do you overcome that situation?
With me is like I said, it's all about the LinkedIn connections. I connect with people everywhere. So I'm a huge component of trying to connect with people. And please, when you connect with someone, please send them a message, put a note when you connect with someone. People like to connect with people, and this is called like a ghost connection, right? So basically, you connect just to get a follower or a number. Don't do that, right? People like to do that for some reason. Do not do that. That's not going to work for you. So what you do is you build a connection with someone, and you have a conversation with them, and they're that's what I did. That's how I build all my connections. I don't have bots on my LinkedIn. You know, I have real people on my LinkedIn. So you want to do is you want to, because it's like I said, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? So you want to connect with that person. And that's LinkedIn in general, anyone in general on LinkedIn. Because you're taking their time, right? So you want to make sure that their time is valuable. So you want to make sure that you're taking them out to eat, buying them a beer, you know, just something, right? You got to give them something, right? And then you build a connection like that, and you build a relationship like that. So that's what helped me, by the way. That's what helped me get my job in Australia with the trainers, because I built a connection. They don't live in New York. They're not from New York. They're from Australia. But because they watched my YouTube videos and they found me on YouTube, I approached them. They approached me. We immediately got along. So you got to know how to build your connections with different people. It doesn't matter who it is. Just build your connections. Learn how to talk to that person, and just be very polite about it. Don't be rude and just randomly add someone for no reason. So hopefully it answers your question.
Let's kind of clarify though, because what he's actually talking about is like office politics.
Office politics.
Office politics. So let's say you're in an environment to where you're doing your job, you know your job, you're doing it great, right? But let's say in that environment, the people that get the promotions are the people that have good relationships with the managers, have good relationships with the directors, and you may not have the same, I don't know, outlook on life. You may not have the same interests. You just may not relate to the people in the office the same. So in that type of environment, to where you may not feel like you fit in, but you do your job great, what should you do?
In that type of environment, I would leave the job.
Okay.
Yeah, I would leave. That actually has happened to me. So I worked in an environment that the people did not like me at all. Right. And it was because I'm the only Hispanic person in the company. So being Hispanic, you know, kind of has its drawbacks sometimes, right? Like, that's any color, right, or race. So I had an issue with someone, and I had an issue with a bunch of people in that environment. So I ended up just leaving and finding a better job. And obviously you try not to close your doors, right? So you keep your doors open. So I told the manager, you know, I'm leaving, and I'm leaving because I want to grow in another company. You know, I'm not going to say that I'm leaving because of this and that, this and that and that. You know, you want to you want to make sure you don't close your door and and not have a bad relationship or have a bad instance where you just have a bad relationship with your manager and your previous job. We don't want that. We try to avoid that, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah. Hey, I want to say something, bro.
mm-hmm.
Being Hispanic is never a drawback. Like being who you are, I don't care where you are, what environment you are, it's never a drawback.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't fit in, it's not my problem, it's their problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
I agree. I agree
yeah,
with you. I definitely agree with you. Like, the thing is that the issue is that I look at it that way. I look at it like not drawback for me. I'm saying look at it like we
right,
have other people that have their way of thinking. So it's just
yeah,
like I can't do anything because it's like they think that way, and you can't change the way people think.
right.
So that's just how it is with certain people, and you can't do anything. You just have to walk away from it. I'm not gonna waste my time and energy on someone that's extremely stubborn and arrogant. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So,
it sucks. For
mm-hmm.
years, that's how a lot of IT environments operated. To where black people, Hispanic people, women, can feel like they don't fit in these environments. That sucks. And my goal is to change that to where, when you walk into an environment, you're accepted and you can be authentically who you are. Because for years, I felt like I couldn't be who I was. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely agree with. I could relate to you because I remember I worked for the NYPD, so
Yeah,
I seen some corruption in the NYPD with African Americans, Hispanics, women, everything. It's just it comes with the territory. Sometimes you can't control it. You cannot control everything around you, unfortunately. But you do make a difference with your channel, right?
yeah,
You impact each individual person. Like I always tell people, like you're gonna have negative people, negative comments, right? It's not. I judge my wins based on the people that are around me. I judge my wins based on the positive people around me. The positivity is always gonna outweigh the negativity. It's
yeah,
always gonna do that. That's always gonna happen. So I look past the negativity. I just ignore the BS, and just do my thing. That's how I
yeah,
look at it. That's how I look at life.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, the last question, and I think this is appropriate, is from HK Tepo Cha Cali.
Cali.
Yeah, some of these YouTube names, I'll be like, yeah. But shout out to you, family. The question is, how do you improve your soft skills?
With me is you just go and join webinars, join seminars, join conference calls. So there are conference calls that LinkedIn does for free. So I would definitely go on LinkedIn and look at social media like platforms and calls and stuff like that. So I recommend you do that. You join that. I actually I have a Discord, right? Come on Discord and talk with us. So I actually do that. So on Discord, I'm always so you could ask anyone that's on my Discord, you could ask them that I always join the voice channel. I'm always on the voice channel almost every day, right? And I always talk to people on voice channel. What we do is we invite people to talk. I force you to talk, right? So I tell people one thing is get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So the only way you learn, the only way you get better is by getting out of your comfort zone. So
Right.
you got to get out of your comfort zone. That's IT, that's studying for a job, that's doing it's just like doing everything, right? Everything, even talking, everything. Get out of your comfort zone. You cannot learn if you don't get out of your comfort zone. So I tell you to go and talk on Discord, go and participate in LinkedIn, go and participate anywhere that they want to hear your voice. You want to do that so you could build your soft skills. I did not have soft skills before myself either, just so you know. So
Yeah.
you build it over time, and you do that by participating with other people and talking to other people. So that's what I recommend you do.
Get outside your comfort zone. Get
Get out of your
uncomfortable.
comfort zone. Yep.
Love that, man. Love that.
Yep.
Hey, Kev, man, this has been a great conversation. You dropped a ton of jewels. You shared your knowledge and experience, and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate what you do for the community. Thank you for having me. Much love and respect to you. Salute to Professor Black Ops. Salute to Keep It Techie. Salute to everyone in the chat. Thank you, man.
For sure. For those of you that's been watching, thank you all for joining us. All of Kev's contact information is in the description of this video. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. Check out his Discord. Go show him mad love and support. We appreciate you all. Kev, if you can take us out.
Yep, definitely. So one thing for everyone, like I said earlier, one thing for you, if you're brand new to IT, you're trying to get that first job in IT and help desk, IT support, fix your resume, connect with people on LinkedIn, get out of your comfort zone, embrace rejection. Like I said, you're gonna get rejected 1,000 times, but someone will open the door at the end of the day. So believe in yourself. You have the power to believe in yourself. You have the unhidden potential that you don't know unless you actually do it. So stay motivated, stay positive. Things will slowly work out, and the sky is the limit. You can learn as much as you can in IT. If I come from a restaurant background and I learned how to do IT, I knew nothing about computers. You could do it too. So definitely stay positive, stay motivated, and keep grinding. And that's it.
Hey, thank you. Peace.
Thanks. Peace.